The scene opens inside the US State Department in Washington, where the atmosphere carries a blend of choreography and strategic weight. Cameras capture the moment. A small procession walks toward the podium. Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles, Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong, US, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and US Secretary of Defence Pete Hegseth. Their arrival is steady and deliberate, the kind of diplomatic staging that signals not just ceremony, but purpose. As the four officials settle into position for their joint press statement, the visuals reflect a relationship built over decades of shared military and political commitments. Penny Wong exchanges a brief look with Secretary Rubio, and Hegseth adjusts his documents before the remarks begin. It is a quiet reminder that the US-Australia alliance, often described in diplomatic shorthand, is in fact one of the most deeply entrenched defence partnerships in the world. The American side opens the remarks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who chooses not to begin with policy language, but with history. He underscores the depth of US-Australia cooperation through shared sacrifice. He says this is an incredibly strong alliance. In fact, as we were discussing a few moments ago, it is our only ally that has fought with us in every war certainly over the last 4 or 5 decades, and we're very grateful to them for that. And this is a very strong partnership, it's a strong alliance, and what we want to do is continue to build on it. We think we have a lot of momentum behind this alliance. Rubio's words are not just diplomatic compliments, they reflect the political reality that Australia remains one of Washington's most important partners in an increasingly contested Indo-Pacific. With China's growing regional assertiveness and with supply chain vulnerabilities exposed globally, the alliance has taken on renewed relevance. Rubio continues by pivoting into one of the most strategic themes for both countries: critical minerals and supply chain resilience. These are no longer purely economic issues. They sit at the intersection of national security, industrial policy, and geopolitical influence. Rubio outlines the shared concern that global dependence on single-source suppliers, particularly China, could expose the US and its allies to leverage or coercion. He explains, in order for us to be able to do anything, whether it's defend our countries, defend our allies, or defend each other, but also to build our economies and to prosperous economies, we have to have critical mineral supplies and supply chains that are reliable and that are diverse and not overly invested in one place where they could be used as leverage against us or our partners of the world. And so this is something that you'll find the US and Australia working very closely on. For the Biden administration before, and now for the Trump administration under Rubio and Hegseth, the Indo-Pacific has increasingly become the defining theatre of US strategic competition. Critical minerals from lithium to rare earths are essential not only for the defence sector, but for clean energy technologies, AI systems, electric vehicles, and advanced manufacturing. Australia is already one of the world's top producers, making its partnership indispensable to any US strategy to diversify supply chains away from China. When Penny Wong takes the podium, her tone reflects both historical perspective and contemporary urgency. She grounds her remarks in a century of shared battlefield experience, stretching as far back as World War I. Wong says today the United States and Australia, as much as ever, rely on each other. That remains true today, and as Secretary Rubio said, Australian soldiers have fought beside American troops in every major battle since World War I. And we continue to rely on each other, not just our servicemen and women whom we thank for their service, but all our people. And that's because the work we do together is indispensable to a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Her words reinforce a message Canberra has increasingly delivered in international forums, that the Indo-Pacific cannot remain stable without robust cooperation among democracies. For Australia, this means deeper military integration with the United States, more joint exercises and shared technology programs, many of which form part of the broader AUSMIN framework. As Wong concludes, US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth steps forward. His remarks introduce concrete details that illustrate how the two countries are translating strategic alignment into operational capability. Hegseth outlines major upgrades underway across Australia's defence infrastructure projects intended to enable a larger, more flexible American presence on Australian soil. He states, "We're upgrading infrastructure on air bases in Queensland and the Northern Territory that allows for additional US bomber rotations. We're upgrading logistics and infrastructure in Darwin so more US Marines can do rotational deployments and prepositioning MV-22 Ospreys. This establishes new and resilient logistics networks across Australia. We're deepening our cooperation on the defence industrial base, cooperation on guided weapons production and lethal capability." These upgrades reflect a broader reorientation of US military posture that began several years ago, dispersing forces across the region to reduce vulnerability, increase readiness, and send a clear message to any potential adversary that the United States and Australia are capable of operating together quickly and at scale. The upgrades also signify a new level of industrial cooperation, particularly in weapons production, where Australia has increasingly become both a manufacturer and a testing hub. For Canberra, these moves also represent a domestic shift. Australia is not simply hosting American assets, it is actively transforming into a more capable regional defence player, aligned more closely than ever with US strategic objectives. As Hegseth finishes, Richard Marles reinforces this message with unmistakable clarity. The Australian Deputy Prime Minister stresses that both nations are sending a unified signal to the region. Marles says, and that is so important going forward to make very clear in our region that Australia and America stand side by side in working together to contribute to the peace and security of the Indo-Pacific. As we meet today, there are almost 900 Australian servicemen and women who are embedded in the United States Defence Forces across the US. The embedded personnel are a telling detail. They symbolise a degree of military integration seen only in the closest alliances. These Australians work directly within US units, planning, training, and in some cases operating alongside American personnel. This level of embedded cooperation is rare, and it highlights the trust, interoperability, and shared objectives that now define the alliance. As the officials wrap up their statements, the group once again walks together, exchanging brief words as they leave the State Department podium. The images of them departing mirror the opening shots, this time with a subtle undertone of completion. The public message has been delivered, but the strategic work continues behind closed doors. Additional photographs released by AFP show the four leaders standing in alignment during the 35th Australia-US ministerial consultations, known as OSMIN. The positioning is deliberate. Rubio to one side, Wong opposite him, Hegseth focused as he delivers remarks, and Marles beside him. The photos capture a blend of firmness and familiarity, reflecting a partnership that has matured into one of the most consequential bilateral relationships in the Indo-Pacific. Beyond the visuals and official statements, this meeting speaks to a broader geopolitical landscape evolving at high speed. As the Indo-Pacific becomes the central arena for global competition, alliances like the one between Australia and the United States are no longer just diplomatic traditions, they are strategic necessities. Both nations face heightened challenges: cyber intrusions, aggressive maritime maneuvers, foreign interference campaigns, and the global race for critical technology. At the same time, the economic landscape is shifting. The transition to clean energy, advances in artificial intelligence, and increased demand for rare earths place new pressures on supply chains. The comments by Rubio echo a recognition that without secure access to critical minerals, none of the broader strategic ambitions, defence readiness, technological leadership, or economic stability are achievable. Australia, meanwhile, finds itself in a unique position. It is geographically close to many of the Indo-Pacific's most contested areas, yet is politically aligned with the United States. It has simultaneously managed a tense and complex relationship with China, its largest trading partner, while deepening its defence commitments with Washington. This balance makes Australia a critical pivot state in regional diplomacy. The OSMIN consultations showcased today are part of a long institutional history, but this year's discussions carry added significance. With global power dynamics shifting, the partnership is increasingly mission-driven. The focus is not simply on maintaining the status quo, but on shaping the regional environment in ways that prevent coercion and ensure stability. The remarks from all four leaders weave together into a broader narrative, a reaffirmation that the alliance is not only alive, but evolving. The emphasis on supply chains, defense technology, force posture, and regional stability illustrates a strategic architecture designed for long-term resilience. As the video closes, the images return to the officials standing together during the consultations. The State Department setting, the flags, the prepared podium, and the methodical staging all reinforce the message delivered throughout the briefing. In an era of uncertainty, the US-Australia alliance remains anchored in shared values, reinforced by shared sacrifice, and energized by shared strategic purpose. The voiceover ends with the sense that today's statements mark another chapter in a partnership that continues to shape the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, not through rhetoric or ceremony, but through coordinated, tangible actions that reflect the evolving demands of a rapidly changing world.